the people in our lab processing the samples could tell a person that had Parkinson's just by looking at the stool. A Parkinson's
Wow.
stool is very different from any other stool we collected from anybody. And it has components of it, sometimes the whole stool, but sometimes just sections of it are like concrete.
Hardened. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very, very hard, a very, very hard consistency and dry. And this is actually also explained in our paper by the battle in the gut. And there are some pathogenic bacteria that produce an enzyme called urease, which
Hmm.
has a lot of downstream effects, but it kills good bacteria and good cells. And then they spill calcium and potassium into the gut lumen, which
Hmm.
when you do that, you lose basically sodium is what propagates electrical signals. And so when there's too much potassium inside the lumen, you lose that signal propagation through the sodium in the glycocalyx. And
Mm.
then a tiny bit of calcium is all it takes to make something kind of like concrete. But back to
Interesting.
the question about, bacteria that are missing. So a lot of the bacteria that are missing in Parkinson's are those that produce something called butyrate, which is a short chain fatty acid that actually feeds those cells
Yep.
that line the gut. And the lining of the gut is only one cell thick.
That's right. Yeah. It's just that simple columnar epithelium. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the same thing with our blood vessels. Only like that line, that little piece of the that endothelial cell is one cell thick. So it's
Right.
different than like the skin. If you cut your skin, there's
Yeah.
other cells underneath that are growing up to the surface.
Hmm.
And, when you damage the glycocalyx, there's not something coming up to the surface. It's actually repaired by blood clots. So blood comes to the
Right.
glycocalyx, and then those blood cells, send some signals and do some repair. But that's also how you can get a blood clot.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. All this is very interesting. I didn't realize before. I I wouldn't know. I hadn't heard anybody actually state this before, but it makes sense to me that the consistency of stool would be different for various reasons. Of course, if there's changes in the bacteria, that makes sense, and changes in electrolytes, like you mentioned, potassium, calcium, and so forth. And also, it's ironic too, as a because as a catch-22 with Parkinson's, you've got the autonomic nervous system issues causing the gut motility problems, but you also have, again, with the bacteria in the gut being altered, you've got the stool that it's harder to move anyway if it's harder physically.
Right.
By harder, I mean more solid and drier. And also, you have the issue of medications even more slowing down the gut.